Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel in All Seasons Homestead. In case you're new, I'm Joanna. In today's video, I'm going to be doing all kinds of little tasks and chores in the late fall, getting ready for winter. And this morning, I'm going to start by making some cinnamon rolls and bacon and some omelets and some cinnamon tea. So please join me today as I make breakfast and then get ready for a week of garden chores and different tasks around the home. So this cinnamon roll recipe is very quick and simple. This is a very nice recipe. If you don't have time to let your dough rise, there's no rising time to it. And it's just a pretty quick process and just 20 minutes in the oven. So while the cinnamon rolls are baking in the oven, then it's a perfect time to make eggs or whatever other kind of ideas I have and wash up the dishes. Usually what I do is I have my coffee in the early morning and then I go ahead and take a shower and get ready. But this particular morning, everyone was still sleeping. It was a rainy day. So I just went ahead and made breakfast in my pajamas. And then I got ready right after that because we had a long day ahead of us. We were in the garden for quite a few hours. So I just wanted to make sure that I had a big breakfast for the kids and plenty left over if they needed to come inside and snack. So that way I didn't have to stop and then stop what I was doing, stop the project I was in the middle. They could just come in and get another cinnamon roll. And then I believe we had just a light lunch, kind of later in the afternoon, is maybe 1 o'clock, a little after lunchtime, because we had such a good breakfast. We weren't very hungry. We have so much to get done. We have the rest of the corn to take out, which is still not much anymore, but there's a couple of rows left. We have to focus on the bell peppers and the jalapeno peppers and harvest all of those and rip the plants out. I would have loved to overwinter a few. It's actually very simple to overwinter some pepper plants. But this year with the baby coming, I'm just not going to focus on those kind of things. And I have sweet potatoes to harvest and garden raised beds to clean up. I've gotten half of the tomato plants out, but I still have the other half to do. We burned off some brush piles. We got straw bales to cover the garlic. Oh, I planted the garlic. I still need to cover strawberries. So on and on and on the list goes. So that's why I'm just trying to start out the day. I usually like to just jump into a project and go. And I'm just really trying to slow down a little bit because there's a big difference when your children get full tummies and everyone's just more happy and calm when I'm calmer. So that's what I was really trying to focus on. Here I'm just getting the cinnamon tea ready. I think I used about 5 or 6 sticks, cinnamon sticks, and then 4 or 5 cloves. And later we just put a little bit of honey in our own cups, and it's really, really good. And sometimes I will add a little bit of milk to it. So I'm making myself an omelet. I've been on an omelet kick lately. The cinnamon rolls and the bacon are pretty much for everybody else. I don't really like to eat sweet stuff in the morning, but for omelets, I just like to keep it simple. I put salt, pepper, garlic, and then I put spinach in there, and then I put a chunk of queso fresco, very spicy salsa, and then I've been slicing avocado, and this time I served it with a slice of ham on the side as well. And this has been my breakfast for many days in a row. I kind of get on a kick of something and I just do it repetitively for several days. And there it is. I'm just really happy with that. It's just a little bit of everything that I need. Sometimes I will have homemade yogurt with some homemade granola, and I'll have that days and days in a row. But that's my kick right now. I was going to leave the cinnamon rolls as is without the icing, but later I did add the icing to the top. And then after breakfast, we finally got outside to start our tasks. So we've already harvested all of our sweet corn. This is mainly the white corn that's left to dry, and my daughter already beat me outside and had a head start on picking the peppers. And you'll see here in just a little while how many peppers we got from our last harvest. These are our raised beds, or at least some of them. This is the sweet potato bed. And I meant to get them out of the ground before the frost hit, but still it was just kind of a light frost, enough to make the plant kind of turn black, but the sweet potatoes were just fine. And this is a jicama. I'm not sure if any of you have seen a jicama. It's kind of like a potato. They don't store too long, but they're kind of like a fresh, watery potato kind of. But I'm pretty pleased with my sweet potato harvest. They're not as many or as big as last year, but still, I'm mainly the only one that eats the sweet potatoes, and so I think it'll do just fine for me. And I didn't record me working in the pepper area. It was just a lot of work, and it was hours of picking all the rest of the peppers, and we scraped up the garden and burned the plants. And so I got a couple of bushels of bell peppers and maybe 1.5 bushels of jalapenos, and then quite a few serranos. This is the rest of the corn we need to take inside, and then we have a 1/2 bushel of corn right there. So, I mean, for the last harvest, that was pretty decent. So I believe this is the next day. I'm going to work on a bushel of apples that I bought off of a friend of mine. We had about 1 bushel from one of our trees, but I just didn't get to preserving it. We just mainly ate it as fresh apples. So these apples right here, I'm going to make apple cider vinegar and then some just basic applesauce. After I wash the apples, I just peel, and I put the peels and the core, at least most of the cores, in a gallon jar. And then when I'm done, I'll cover it with water and just let it sit for a couple of weeks. And after that, I'll strain it, and then it's basically apple cider vinegar. And my last gallon, I did 2 gallons last year, and I still have a 1/2 gallon left. So it smells wonderful. It's just like apple cider vinegar, so it does store really, really well. I did try my apple, I don't even know what you want to call this apple peeling tool. I love this tool, but every time I try to use it, it just does not work for me. I think it only peeled a couple of apples, but usually when I make applesauce, I get kind of older apples that are ready to, a little bit more soft for applesauce. And I think this tool does better with more of a firm apple. So I kind of tried it with maybe about 4 apples, and then I just kind of gave up and went back to just a regular old knife. Applesauce is one of those really easy, basic recipes. I think it's something that's very good to have on hand in your pantry, and especially with kids. But even if you don't have kids, I think that it's just a really good, simple snack or dessert, or even using in recipes. So it's something that I really try to have on hand. And I really wanted to do 2 or 3 bushels this year to have it ready for the baby next year. So we'll see how long this lasts me. It's very simple, but it does take quite a bit of time, because I mean, you have to peel them and then you have to cook them down, and so basically you can't process them until they're cooked down to the appropriate softness. So I did all of the peeling and cooking in the crock pot all morning and all afternoon, and then by the evening I was ready to finally water bath them. In the past, I have made cinnamon, clove, applesauce. I think that's pretty much the only spice I've used in applesauce, and I have some kids that like the spice applesauce and some kids that don't. So I usually just keep it simple and basic. And then if they want more of a cinnamon flavor, I can just add that later after the jar is open. It's no big deal. I was thinking of my great grandmother. She used to have a reddish color applesauce. And I did ask my grandma one time how my great grandma used to make that, and I'm pretty sure she told me that it was basically apples from her apple tree, and then she would use those red hot candies. I think it was just to give it like color and some cinnamon spice, but I remember having that off of her shelf right out of the jar when I was a little kid, and it was so good. I'm going to take a minute to say thank you to today's video sponsor, which is WowCatch. And I've talked about them before here on my channel. Last time I talked about their gnat and fly trap, which is wonderful. But today I'm going to tell you about their glue traps. It attracts mice, rats, snakes, and more. And I can tell you from my personal experience that this works wonderfully. I'm going to take you downstairs and show you the results and how to set it up. It's just fast and simple. But I have not caught any mice yet. Maybe when it gets cold, they'll start moving in. That usually happens. And with a pantry and our basement, I think it is very important for me to have these set up and ready. And my results right now are mainly wolf spiders. And pretty much for us, September and August is a lot of wolf spiders, and I hate them more than mice. I'm very pleased with the results that these sticky pads have given me. So let's go downstairs and I'll show you. Okay, so we're here in the pantry, and I'm going to check my WowCatch sticky pad behind the curtain. Yuck. I kind of took a peek at this one about a week ago. So no mice, but look at that collection of spiders. So remember that this is a basement. We do school down here, we watch TV down here, but it's still a basement. And I'm gonna check this one back here by our door. This is a antique or vintage door, but it really needs to be replaced. Lots of stuff comes in under this door. And look at that. I'm happy to have caught some Asian beetles, but that is so disgusting. So since that trap is very, very full, I'm going to go ahead and put another sticky pad there. And it's just very, very easy. So you basically just switch it out. I like to put mine next to an entrance and next to the wall. And that's it. Another thing I really like and appreciate is the fact that they're about $15 and you get 6 glue traps. And they are extremely sticky. Thank you so much, WowCatch, for sponsoring today's video. All right, another thing I'm going to do is start picking up tools and hummingbird feeders and trying to bring as many things possible into the garden shed. We're expecting some rain, and I just don't want my feeders to fill up with water. The hummingbirds have already left me about a month ago, so I'm just going to put them away so they don't crack when the weather turns cold. And then this shed right here, actually, this was in one of my very first videos. We organized this garden shed and built those back shelves, and it's working wonderfully. But the dogs and the peacock got in here and knocked down the gas tanks and some of my weed barrier fabric. So I'm going to try to tidy this area up and bring the baskets in, my harvest baskets, and tools and things like that. And I still want to go back up on the shelves and brush off all of the dead Asian beetles and dirt that the wind has kind of blown in there. But I haven't got to that part. I was just trying to see what I have first and get things on the correct shelf. That awkward table that you see that my baskets are sitting on, it's just quick boards, random scrap pieces of wood that we put together and put a wire on top. We were trying to make something to cure our onions in a really quick fashion. We were expecting rain, so we just threw it together really quickly. So that's another thing I do need to get done, is take that apart so we can get our mower and our tiller back in here. So I think I just need to, like I said, clean off, dust off the shelves and then take that apart. And I threw that weed fabric up to the top shelf for now because my ladder was not in there. And I probably shouldn't be climbing on a ladder anyway while I'm pregnant. And I think I was alone out here this day, so I just chucked it up there. But I'm just going to go through my baskets and tools and just do what I can with, I think I just did this in maybe 20 minutes, just tidied it up just a little bit. Just trying to get ahead. I really wanted to finish the whole process, but I think if I remember right, it was close to dinner. So I just did what I could. And these are all the tools that I collected around my garden. I try to put them away, but sometimes if I'm not done weeding an area, I think I'm going to go back out and finish it, and I didn't. So I collected those, and then I clipped off some sunflower tops, and I'm going to add these to my bird feeder real quick so I could put my basket away. And here are my tomatoes. I've already cleaned off 3 panels, and I'm about halfway there. So I still have a lot more to do with the tomato area. But after a frost, it kind of condenses them down a little bit. There's not as much to work with. So it's a little easier to just find the base and pull it out. And then I will just throw these in a pile to dry, unless we get too much rain. But hopefully the idea is to dry them out, and then I can just burn them off. There are always endless garden tasks to be done. It could just be rolling up weed fabric and storing it away, or clipping off seeds from flowers, or collecting seeds. There's just something, even in January and February, I find things to do. So I'm trying to just use this beautiful fall weather and get ahead a little bit, because like I said, the baby will be here in the spring, or actually late winter. So the more I do now, the less I have to do later. And I still have to clean up flowers around the house, so I really don't want to get behind. So it's better just to do a little bit here and there. So right here, I am cleaning up the last row of zinnias. I had something planted here early spring, but now I can't remember what it was. Maybe I had last year's garlic, but then after I harvest that, I put in some zinnia seeds. And then my daughter also has a really big raised bed, and she was working on collecting her seeds and pulling her zinnias out as well. I don't know about you guys, but for me, my mind is still very much in fall. I feel like fall is just begun, maybe a couple of weeks ago, and the trees around our area are just turning yellows, oranges, and red, and the air is turning crisp and cool. So I feel like when I see a lot of these Christmas decorate videos and Christmas crafts, my mind is just not ready for it, because I'm just very much in the fall spirit, or the fall mindset, getting chores done and harvesting. But I mean, if you are going to be decorating and planning and buying and making crafts, I guess this is a good time to start for Christmas, because some of those things can take a while, and I don't want to wait till last minute. But I think with just me being pregnant, I'm going to just focus on the homestead chores, and then making a baby list, things that I need to get, and then our Christmas list. And I plan on doing just very little decorating for Christmas this year. I just feel like there's just too much to think about in a very short period of time. I think this is where I'm going to leave you all for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me, and listening to me chat and watching me work. Please remember to subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to give me a thumbs up. And also feel free to comment below, maybe even ask me a question if you'd like. I really enjoy seeing people's comments. It puts a smile on my face. Maybe even in the comments, let me know if you guys are still in the fall or autumn mindset, or if you've moved on to the Christmas mindset. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate it so much, and I will see you soon.